Happy Thursday, everybody. How y'all doing? Salutations are the weirdest part of this thing. That and goodbyes. How's everybody doing? I'm doing okay. Today, at the end of this week, I feel like I'm doing about a 5.4, but it's definitely worked its way from where it was. I had a therapy session today. I haven't had a therapy session since February of 2024. Didn't realize it's been that long. Just took a little hiatus from it, and here I am back. That's okay, though. It's actually great. I really enjoyed it, really needed it. I'm tired of trauma dumping on my wife, and she doesn't mind that I trauma dump on her. She actually is, amazing when it comes to that. I don't know how she puts up with all of my trauma dump. But, yeah. That was good. I recommend it. I didn't, honestly, I tell you what, things have just been piling up, and I just told my wife I have to make an appointment with Nolan, so I did, and I'm glad that I did. I didn't want to go today. I always, that's always a thing with me. Like, I'll make the appointment to go to therapy, and then I just don't want to go, but I made myself go because it was very important. And I will go back next month. That psychology book that I read, it actually, if you want to get into this and you want to get into psychology and into the brains of everybody else, then you should get into your own and talk to somebody yourself. So that's what I'm doing. And first day was a good day. It turned my 4 into a 5, so that's good. One thing that's really important that I told him today was that my life is great. I just worry too much. Like, I am a worrier. Don't want to let anybody down and don't want to let myself down. And I worry all the time. That I just worry. Just a big old worry over here. He recommended a book about neuroticism, so I will check that book out and see what that thing has to say. Let's see. What else? Learned a new move in my golf swing. I've stepped up into that, and I kind of ranked up a little bit, leveled up. I always think of these things. Every time I get into something, I always think of, RPG little skill trees. And, I got one today. I leveled up, got my experience points, got me a little skill tree, throwing my arms out there. Evan took a little video of me today, and I got to say, I'm pretty proud of how I got that golf club swinging. Other than that, works great. It's crazy. I make great money, but it's just never enough. And that's okay, because my bills are paid and my children are fed and my wife is, she's happy and everybody's happy. So I'm good. And, as long as everybody is well and happy and taken care of, then I don't care. Money will come whenever we don't have so much money to spend on cheer. We can get started. I started a new way to do this. I'm going to try to read this on my iPad rather than just looking up over here so you can see, both sides are bad, but, the bad side. We're dealing with Sapiens, a brief history of Humankind. I should have the author's name on. I actually have the book right here, so I should just sit this up here. Yuval Noah Harari. I've been listening actually to he's on Lex Friedman's podcast, and I was listening to him on there, and he has a lot of really great points. I enjoy what he has to say. I haven't really read anything that I saw some silly YouTube. I don't know. I guess I typed in the book just to kind of see if there was any interviews about him. That's what's really cool about reading these books, is that the people that are alive, you can go and hear what they have to say on many podcasts, and that's really cool. But I clicked a couple of book reviews. I apologize. I'm really stuffy. I clicked a couple of YouTube channels that had reviews of the book, and I don't know. Everything always just seems to be incredibly political, no matter what. Like, everything always has to be political, and it's not enough about this, and it's not enough about that, and it's just silly stuff. You can't even, there's already a bias, and for people like me who are dumb as hell, I just don't really care about the political bias of these people. I'm kind of just going off. I'm really honestly just going off of what Grok told me to read. Like, I know that this is a very popular book, and I just wanted something that challenges Genesis. And this book is actually really doing a really good job. I have a pretty cool theory that I haven't made it up, but I've come to. It's funny. I thought, I never really took in the old Earth creationists' theories, but it seems like it kind of goes off of that. And the theory is, which, bear with me, because, I big dumb man over here, and I don't 100% remember everything, which is tough. I read these books, and I try my best to remember all of the stuff that they're saying, and it just seems like it doesn't matter how much I study the stuff and read over it and just try to learn it. It just doesn't want to stick in there. I guess I just have too much stuff in there. I am doing better. It is getting better. I actually worded all of this stuff differently. I felt like I was just monotonously reading this stuff as a freaking terrible college professor, and just not good at his job. And I wanted to. Oh no, I didn't get my drink. Listen, guys, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to do this without a drink. So bear with me. I'm going to take literally 30 seconds. Asawi. I got my East stuff on today. I came down here and was so excited. I also have my Pleasant Grove Dolphins cup. I am repping Mount Washington right now, which is a really cool hometown to live in. I got to be honest. I've made a lot of really great friends here. That's cool. Now I got to catch my breath, because I just ran upstairs and I'm out of shape. Milo sweet tea, people. 0 calorie Milo sweet tea with stevia. Hopefully it's not just as bad as sugar and doesn't do anything terrible. Anyway, I was saying, reading this like a terrible college professor that is just terrible at his job. I heard that you should be able to explain this stuff. You should be able to really understand it. You should be able to explain it at the dinner table. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to talk to your mother about it. you like if you can explain it to your mom, then you really got it in your head. That, and obviously, yeah, that makes sense. And so what I did was, instead of doing it in like the study guide version, which is good. I want to actually keep them, but I kind of want to read it from the dinner table perspective. Like I asked Grok, that's what makes my study guides. I asked it to make the study guide in a conversation template, I guess is what I said. I could go over what I said, actually, if you can just bear with me for a second. That's ChatGPT. Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. What did I do? It's probably this one. It was not. It's probably this one. It was not. Yeah, there it was. Yeah, explains chapters 5 through 8 of Sapiens like we're at a dinner table. And this is what we have. I'm going to do a recap. We'll do a recap of 1 through 4. Chapter 1, an animal of no significance. Harari starts by saying humans were just middle of the food chain apes for millions of years. No big deal. There were multiple human species coexisting like Neanderthals and us, Homo sapiens. But around 100,000 to 70,000 years ago, something changed. We started spreading out of Africa, outcompeting everyone else, including other humans. It's not because we were stronger or smarter in a basic way. It's the setup for the next. It's the setup for what's next. Chapter 2, the Tree of Knowledge. Boom! The cognitive revolution hits 70,000 years ago. We developed unique languages that lets us gossip, plan, and most importantly, create shared myths. Imagine realities like gods, tribes, and stories. This allows flexible cooperation in huge groups, unlike chimps who max out at 150 or so. It's why we can have armies, religions, and companies. Without it, no civilization. Chapter 3, a day in the life of Adam and Eve. Harari paints foragers like pre-agriculture. Let me try that again. Harari paints forager life pre-agriculture as pretty sweet. Varied diet, less work. That makes no sense. Harari paints forager life pre-agriculture as pretty sweet. Yeah, they had varied diets, less work, 20 to 30 hours, strong social bonds, no bosses or taxes. But it wasn't paradise. Dangers like predator and starvation existed. Still, he argues, we were happier and healthier then, adapted to that lifestyle over eons. I said that I wanted to go over, which actually, now that I think about it, that's probably why he put that. The theory that I had about, I know that I skipped out on that, but the kind of the gap that's bridged with Genesis in this book. Chapter 4, I'll go after it. I'll do it after this recap. Chapter 4, the flood. Humans are as ultimate serial killers. As we spread, we cause massive extinctions, wiping out megafauna like mammoths and giant sloths in Australia, the Americas, and everywhere we went. It's not just climate. Our hunting and fire use did it. So we used to use fire for whenever I would think about like how all of this was without anything in it, without people in it, without houses in it, without agriculture, without all of that stuff. I always just thought that it would be just a bunch of trees. But apparently we used to just burn everything down, and we would just cause everything to go extinct, or we would just kill everything in its path. And it's not only we just hunted the animals, but we also killed them with fire. Killed a lot of animals, I would imagine, because they would just set a forest on fire and just watch it burn and create a hunting ground with it. So, Harari calls it the first ecological disaster we unleashed, foreshadowing more to come. My theory. Actually, you know what? I won't talk about the theory right now. We'll talk about it after, because really I've kind of just sort of thought about this after the second part of this. But the gist of it is basically like we have Genesis, and we have Adam and Eve, and we have the Garden of Eden, and basically Genesis is a story that sort of this really nice, simple, very simple story, which I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's a well-constructed story that compacts the actual story of hunter-gatherers. And like I said, we can get over that. We can go over that. I don't really have it completely fleshed out. But, they worked less. They didn't wear any clothes. They could eat anything. They could eat whatever the trees provided. You know what I'm saying? And that just kind of sounds very hunter-gather-ish, like very foraging type. And finally, they eat the from the tree of knowledge, which that's just a new technology that they've learned that kind of just goes into the farming technology and the agriculture technology, because it's like, why I understand what Harari's trying to say when he says that, why would we start farming? You know what I'm saying? Why would we start working 80 hours instead of 40 hours a week to plow and to, throw manure everywhere and to get all of, it started with diseases, and we started, getting bad backs, and we used to just sit around and made sure that everybody's taken care of and had more of an egalitarian lifestyle. That's the word, egalitarian. I had a terrible brain fart then. We just lived an egalitarian lifestyle. We were happier. I guess I thought we were happier. And then for some reason, wheat came along, and we just became slaves to wheat. And it's kind of, Cain and Abel, that story, it's about, the first murder, which is about land ownership. God even says something about you're basically going to be plowing for your food now, and women are going to go into terrible child labor, which is, like I said, not completely fleshed out, but, talks about just the population boom after we get into the agricultural lifestyle. It'll talk more about it in this, but I don't know. It kind of just solidifies my theory about Genesis and a lot of those stories being great stories, but tells a much more complex history in a short amount of time, because Genesis isn't very long. 50 chapters, which, it's pretty long for the Bible, but you could write multiple books, I'm sure, on the creation of human beings. The overview. These chapters form part 2, the agricultural revolution, where Harari argues that the shift from foraging to farming around 12,000 years ago, which young earth creationists think about 6 or 10,000 years ago, so it's not that much more off. Like, you could see how Genesis could be the story of that. I mean, farming happened 12,000 years ago. It's pretty cool to, I don't know, it's a cool theory to think about, and we'll flesh that out more too. This is actually pretty exciting for me, because I'm starting, like, these are mine. These are my thoughts. These aren't somebody else's thoughts. I don't want to think somebody else's thoughts. Like, it seems like I've gotten too caught up into believing what everybody else wants to believe. what everybody else tells me to believe and being like, oh yeah, that's true. That's what I like and that's what it is. And when I would, which I guess it's doing it with the books, but I guess I would rather do it with books than with freaking my friends on Facebook. You know, I apologize, but you know, some of y'all just need to shut up about things. It's the best way to put it. And that's coming from a dude who's on a microphone who talks every Thursday about his bullshit. So, anyway. That's chapter 5. We're going to do the conversation style. Starting with chapter 5, history's biggest fraud. Harari basically calls the agricultural revolution a massive con job on humanity. Back in the day, like 10,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers, which I think that's 12,000. We were hunter-gatherers living this nomadic life, hunting, foraging, not working too hard, eating all sorts of stuff. Then we start farming, thinking it'll make life easier with steady food. But nope, it backfired. We ended up toiling in fields all day, dealing with famines, disease from animals, and crowds, and our bodies weren't even built for it. Hello, back pain and malnutrition. The population exploded, sure, but individuals suffered more. He says plants like wheat basically domesticated us, not the other way around. It's funny how we got trapped chasing progress, right? This is going to make me really... That actually helps. This helps a lot instead of doing the whole boring little spiel. This is a better way to read this, and I kind of like this. And hopefully this blows up and makes me a whole bunch of money one day, and you guys like it too. No, I'm just kidding. God, if only things were just that easy. You know what I mean? Like, if only I could just get on here and just money is just sent my way while I just sit in this basement. But again, I need to stop worrying about money. I shouldn't even be talking about it with you guys. I don't even know why I do that. That's bad. We're done with that. Anyway, the core concepts and arguments. Let's go ahead and key ideas we should talk about. Farming tricked us. These are the core concepts and arguments of chapter 5. Key ideas we should talk about. Farming tricked us, promised food security, delivered slavery to crops. The luxury trap, little extras like extra grain became must-haves that chain you down. Let me go back over these because I'm just reading it, not even thinking about what they're saying. Farming tricked us. It promised food security, delivered slavery to crops. Oh, it promised food security, but delivered slavery to crops, which basically means that it was a nice plan to do all this stuff, but really we just worked harder. The luxury trap, little extras like extra grain become must-haves that chain you down. Yeah, so, you know, just like with the Garden of Eden, like once they ate that fruit, they couldn't go back to the Garden of Eden afterwards. They had the cherubim, I think that's what they're called, the angel with the flaming sword. This is how that is. There's no way, after you start agriculture, there's no way you're going to be able to go back and live as a hunter-gatherer anymore. So, really, we just got trapped, like the luxury trap, yeah. We thought that this was going to be easier, and it wasn't, and we'll never be able to go back. And that's another thing that I was getting to as well with the New Testament. Like, I think Jesus tries to teach you to live more of a lifestyle like that before agriculture because we were happier. Like I said, these are my thoughts, and I think that they're pretty good, honestly. I think that that's a really neat way to look at it, actually. It really just kind of brings it all together. Let's see. Species win, people lose. More humans equals success for genes, but misery for individuals. yeah, so the more humans we have, the better it is for our species. But the lives, at what cost when it comes to us? What cost does it when it comes to, the person, like working 80 hours in the fields and breaking our backs for food rather than, hunting, which, my goodness, if you've ever been hunting, the exhilaration of doing that rather than worrying about if your crops are going to come in. And that's another thing that this talks about, is just anxiety about the future. Like, we never really had to worry about that. Yeah, we had to worry about anxiety from being eaten by a tiger, but not with we didn't have to worry about the rain coming in to plant our crops. Cool examples. Wheat basically domesticated us. We cleared land, weeded, watered it nonstop. So instead of us domesticating wheat, it's basically saying that we were domesticated. Wheat domesticated us, which, wheat was just a grass. Like, it didn't have to spread, but it didn't really spread as much as it did. But once we started laying down these fires and once we started burning everything up, it helped spread that seed everywhere. And that's when I guess we got the idea that, hey, we can use this. We can use this to our advantage. I mean, we can put it in the ground and it'll grow for us. And then we just started doing it everywhere. Same thing with corn and, potatoes and all that stuff. It's almost a weird way to look at it. It's almost like the vegetation has played this weird trick on us where we do its bidding for them. And maybe it is. Maybe we don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're plants do the weirdest stuff, like you can get it. Well, hell, I mean, look at the plants that can get you high. Those are weird, Then you have like funguses that, can make ants or whatever, bugs or whatever kind of grasshoppers or whatever jump into the water. Actually, those are parasites. I think fungus does that too. Fungus makes what? Like the zombie ants? Remember, like the cordyceps that, I don't know, that The Last of Us is about? I don't know. Quotes to drop in conversation, which I actually saw this and I want to read these quotes right here. Notable quotes. The agricultural revolution was history's biggest fraud. The pursuit of an easier life resulted in much hardship and not for the last time. Luxuries tend to become necessities and to spawn new obligations. These are the discussion questions that Grok came up with. Why does Harari call the agricultural revolution a fraud? Do you agree that it worsened individual lives despite population growth? He calls it a fraud because Harari, I was trying to read it. I just tried to go right to the answer because it's so, I don't want to do it. I don't want to look dumb. That's exactly why I'm going to try to do it. No, I'm not. I don't want to. I'm going to read the answer and then hopefully I can retain that answer. I think I know the answer, but I don't want to sound wrong. I'm going to do it. Why does Harari call the agricultural revolution a fraud? It doesn't even matter if it's the right answer. You know what I mean? Like, at least you try. He calls it a fraud. I should give myself a timer to see, like, if I can't do it, then it's a reading thing. I don't know. We're just going to read it. Harari labels it a fraud because it promised abundance and security, but delivered harder work, poorer health, and vulnerability to famine and disease. So there you go. Basically, we thought that it was going to secure us. We thought that it was going to make our lives easier having this grown, and we can just live off of that instead of having to worry about hunting. It actually just made us work a lot harder and made us vulnerable to diseases. And then you get, and then we just have this population boom, and then that makes us even more vulnerable to diseases. And then we have, all of these things that we've created, like nations and money and religions and myths and stories, and then we start fighting for those things. So yeah, I think that it did. I think that I do agree that it worsened individual lives despite population growth. We probably should not be living this way. This probably isn't the way. But there's no going back now, so, try your best. Like, at least, like Jesus says, like, try to help your fellow neighbor and, still love your enemy, even though, I don't know if hunter-gatherers were really loving their enemies or anything like that. But that's still, that's, that's just the extra. That's almost, he's piggybacking off of the lifestyle, which, if Jesus is if Jesus is God, then he would know what that lifestyle was. He'd be the only one that would know that what that lifestyle is. So, that would be, it's not like it's not possible, It's funny talking about the Bible a lot. I had what did I have that asked me what my denomination? Oh yeah, I was on Reddit, and I wanted to kind of type in some of the theories on there about it, and I had to. One of the subreddits was discuss religion, and it asked me for my denomination, and I sat there for a minute. And I did not know what to put down because there was, the choices. There was the atheist and agnostic and all the rest of them. Sorry about the laundry detergent. Love you. Where was I? Oh, yeah. And I didn't, like I said, atheist and agnostic and, Christianity and Catholic and, all of the top dogs of Christianity. They were up there, and I didn't know what to put. And it was a toss up between agnostic and Christian, and, one point to the agnostic for sure. I didn't, I don't know yet. I don't know yet, and that's okay. I know that I want to live like Jesus, and I think that there is a God. I think that there is something anyway. I don't know if that, whether that's the universe or what, I don't know. But I want to find out. And we're getting there. I'm almost done with the Bible. I would like to look into this one word. My therapist was telling me about it. He was excited to hear that I was going to church. Let me find it. I apologize. Eschatology, which is, I guess, the study of the end times, which, let's get into that. 100%. That sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, I want to get into this stuff. I do. I mean, it's already changed my life. I mean, church has been great. I love church. Church of the Crossroads has killed it. They've really they got a lot that I told my father, I said, they have a lot of really great preachers, and my dad made a good point. He said that's good because we need more good preachers, and I agree with that. So yeah, so that's cool. But I'll get there one day. I mean, if I can't do it. I just gotta till you leave. I mean, I want to live like Jesus. I mean, when do you get to call yourself the Christian? Do you get to call yourself a Christian whenever you just fully believe that he, died for your sins and came back 3 days later and rose to heaven, body and all? Or do you live life like Christ and that makes you a Christian? I guess it doesn't. I guess I think Paul's talking about somewhere in there how you have to believe. So I'm getting there. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying, and I want to. I just need my answers, I guess. Need to be answered. That's all there is to it. And I'm finding it. I'm in Colossians right now, and we're good. Yeah, I should be done with that soon. I'm in Colossians. I don't remember if I finished Colossians or I'm just on Colossians. I guess I'm just on Colossians. That would make sense. Well, we got a good answer out of that one, didn't we? That was just number one. Hell. Let's see. How does the luxury trap apply to modern life? Technology like email increasing anxiety. Yeah. Okay. The luxury trap, and I'll read this, and then I'll try to explain it. Maybe that'll help work this thing out. I'll read the answer, and then I can spit it back out to you in my way. That kind of helps, because that seemed to be good. I'm going to read the question again. How does the luxury trap apply to modern life? The luxury trap describes how incremental improvements become burdensome necessities. In modern life, smartphones and emails start as conveniences for connectivity, but evolve into 24/7 obligations, raising stress and blurring work-life boundaries, much like how early farmers' surpluses led to more work without escape. Yeah, so I mean, basically it's saying, we thought these smartphones were going to be great. We thought that they were going to help us, and it really just starts to become an obsession. I totally understand that. I totally get that. There ain't a person that I don't know that has never been obsessed with their phone before, and either they have gotten off of it and gotten over the obsession and gotten over the habits, or they're still into it, and you're either one or the other. But I've seen it from everybody. I don't know one person if somebody tells me that they never get on their phone and they've never done that and they've never got into it, I would call that person a liar. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. In what ways did farming change human bodies and diets compared to foraging? I would like to know this answer. Farming led to repetitive labor causing physical issues like arthritis and back problems, plus shorter statures from nutrition deficiencies. Maybe that's why I'm short. Maybe it's my nutrition deficiencies. Diets become less varied, heavy on grains, low on proteins and vitamins. Increasing diseases like anemia, unlike foragers' diverse, balanced intake from hunting and gathering. So yeah, we went from hunting down our food, which already I can't imagine, like the shape that you have to be in to go and hunt your food, and that's how you lived, and you ate that protein, and then you worked it off, and God, those people must have been shredded. And you're probably shredded from plowing too, honestly, but it looks like they've all had back problems and arthritis. And it looks like the wheat didn't help them when it came to their nutrition as well. They were deficient in that. Yeah, so they were heavy on grains and low on protein and vitamins. So they not only did they rely on wheat, but they also, they didn't hunt as much. So they didn't get the protein that they needed. So it probably just destroyed them, which, this is all theory. You know what I'm saying? Like, we also have to remember that all of this stuff, when it comes to history, is ancient history, it's all theory. So we always have to remember that. I don't ever want to be caught up in anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever want to be this is it and that's how it is, or I will fight you for it. I don't want to do that. I'm not fighting anybody ever. I'm not done with that. I'll turn my damn cheek. I hope this is going well for you guys. I feel like this is better than last week. I almost fell asleep last week reading that stuff. But, then I started to... I guess last week was the first time that I read... I wasn't... It's just different. The way that they made the study guide, I don't even think that was right. I think that... So, I just a tip from me, if you are going to read... And if you are going to use Grok, and if you have questions about that, make sure you hit the expert button. Don't do the fast button, because it'll give you wrong stuff. I don't think that a lot of the stuff was wrong in the first couple chapters, but when I put these next chapters in, the agricultural revolution, into Grok and did the fast check, nothing was right. It was just kind of giving you just kind of baseless things about the books. Like, it was like... Just generic information, not baseless. Generic information about the book. So make sure you hit expert, not fast. What's up?
Tomorrow, can you pick me up at Kroger?
Am I picking Jack up too?
Yeah, Kroger.
Yep. Jack's her boyfriend. Jack's cool. We're cool. We're tight. Chapter 6. What was I? I don't even remember what I was saying. I'm hoping I was done with whatever I was saying. Chapter 6. Building pyramids. Then chapter 6. Building pyramids. This one's about how big societies actually work. Once farming kicks in and groups get huge, you need something to glue everyone together beyond just family ties. So Dunbar's number is 150 people. Like, that's how much 150 people is, like, the max of how you can get all those people, to in a group, until we started coming up with bigger stories and kings and all of these made up stories, all of these made up things that we've made up, like money and kings and laws and, gods and all that stuff. Harari talks about, they're called imagined orders. So Harari talks about imagined orders. These made up stories we all buy into, like gods, kings, laws, and even money. Without them, you couldn't get thousands of people to build a pyramid or follow a pharaoh. It's in our DNA. Other animals don't do empires. We can because our brains let us share myths. Think about it. Nations, companies, they're all imaginary. Somebody made up Ford Motor Company. Somebody made up Toyota. Somebody made up Kroger. These all are people's names, but they just slapped the name on a building, and that, and we have all of the things in there. These all made up. Same thing with kings. Same thing with all of that stuff. These are things that we've made up, and then we rallied around. Think about it. Nations, companies, they're all imaginary. But they let us cooperate on a massive scale. Kind of wild how fragile it all is if the story changes. The key ideas we should talk about. Imagined stuff rules. Imagined stuff rules. I guess they're trying to make that into like a cute little imagined stuff rules. Like that thing rules. Nations, companies, they're real because we all pretend they are. Anxiety spike. Farming made us future obsessed and separated from nature. That's the truth. Think about Genesis when you think about something said like that. Like farming made us future obsessed and separated from nature. Like that's what, we were when we were hunter-gatherers, we were in nature. Think about how great it feels to just sit outside and listen to the birds and just listen to the breeze. I had to do that this week, actually. For a while, I got into meditation, and literally, I was only in it for like 2 weeks, but in that 2 weeks, I could 100% tell a difference. It might have not even been 2 weeks. It might have been a week and a half. But I 100% could tell a difference in how I felt, and it's a nice reminder of all the thoughts in your head. Like they don't own you, you own them. You come up with the thoughts in your head, and you can just let them go at any time, and you can. And I was at work, and I was having a bad day, and I just went outside and sat in the grass and had my little meditation app on YouTube in my headphones, and made sure I turned the noise cancellation off so I could actually hear what's going on outside and actually listen to the breeze. And I used to think closing my eyes was the way to go, but honestly, like when you're outside, like opening your eyes and just being in the moment and looking at all the colors and watching them change, like watching the grass and the leaves and everything change with the wind, and just it's almost like a sparkle. So big recommendations for meditating. It helps. 10 minutes. That's all you need. 10 minutes to just relax. Keeping the myth alive. Teach it to kids early and never admit it's fake. Basically, I used to think that when it and the idea popped up in my head, and I'm trying to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm trying to be as genuine as possible. But I was never a big advocate for teaching young children religion. But I also think that I didn't see it done in the right way either. And now I see after reading the Bible, you just see that it's honestly really a great thing. Like, I have no problems with my children reading the Bible whenever they're ready. I think it's a great book, and I think that it has a lot of, especially the New Testament, my goodness. But to really understand it, you have to read the Old Testament, and that's why we're here today, actually. Cool examples. Modern myths. Consumerism says, shop to be happy. Keeps the economy spinning. So the modern myth is consumerism says, shop to be happy, which that isn't true. Consumerism, I honestly think, is terrible. I do not agree with it at all. Houses. They're nice at first, then you're fixing roofs and mowing lawns nonstop. Yeah, you also have air conditioning and heat and electricity and water, and all of that stuff is still pretty great. I'm not saying I will never live outside, even though I almost wanted to. Which was so thing. Listen. there's a lot of times in my life that I've been thankful for Cassie, and that was huge for me. That was one of my times, and we'll get to that one day. We'll get to that later. Quotes. Notable quotes. An imagined order, these are from the books, by the way. That's what the quotes are from. An imagined order can be maintained only if large segments of the population, and in particular large segments of the elite and the security forces truly believe in it. Okay, so basically it's saying that you can't really go past the Dunbar number of 150 unless everybody, the elite, the security forces, the peasants, the slaves, all of them, they all have to believe in that story for it to work. You never admit that the order is imagined. You always insist that the order sustaining society is an objective reality created by the great gods or by the laws of nature. Nomadic foragers hadn't given too much thought to what the future had in store. This saved them a lot of anxiety. Yeah, so that's basically saying that they didn't really have. Their anxieties were about real things. That's if I could stick that in my head all the time, that my anxiety is the things that me and you, honestly, the things that we're anxious about, is so trivial. It's so dumb. But yeah, I mean, unless you're on your deathbed, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Because we live a pretty safe life, and it could be much worse. And we still just have these trivial anxieties about trivial things, especially here in America. Don't ever. Not one person in America could say that you're worse off than the people in the Middle East. Those places are war zones right now, which I'm sure you know. Let's see, where are we at? So we did that. That's in there. Study questions 4, 5, and 6. These are for chapter 6. How do imagined orders like capitalism or democracy enable cooperation today? And what happens if beliefs erode? It's probably something to think about. They create shared beliefs allowing billions to cooperate anonymously, which means, you don't have to know these people for you to gather around, a common thing. Capitalism through trust in money and markets, democracy via equal rights. Erosion leads to instability like economic crashes or political unrest, as seen in populism challenging democratic norms. So basically that's saying, the thing that we have going on here in America, like if we all just throw those values away and throw, why this country is so great away, then we collapse and we become slaves to, I don't know, you name it, China, Russia, Iran, I don't know, because they'll do it. Trust me, they've done it. If you don't think that if you don't think that if this country was to ever collapse and they won't just enslave your children or your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren or your great-great-grandchildren or whatever, you're wrong. They will, because they've done it before and they're doing it now. Why did farming increase anxiety, and how does this compare to forager lifestyles? Farming required future planning, property defense, and dependency on unpredictable weather, fostering worry. Foragers lived in the present with immediate needs met by nature, facing less long-term stress. Farming separated humans from natural rhythms, amplifying self-centered fears. Again, that sounds very Genesis to me. Yeah, farming. We had to plan out what we were going to do for the future. We had to worry about if crops got enough sun. We had to worry about if crops got enough rain. We had to worry about if they had enough soil and all of that stuff. And before that, we didn't have to worry about any of that. We just we just lived off the land. It really does make you it really makes you think. It really does make you just sit back and just think, like, why we did that. And if it makes, I don't know, it really hits home when I talk to, which of course it's going to hit home whenever that's the book that you're reading, and then this is the book that I'm reading. Of course, I could probably do this with Alice in Wonderland and Harry Potter and be like, oh, these kind of bridge the gaps. That's also a thing too, probably. I don't, I'm not privy to that. I'm not dumb. I wonder if that's the right way to say I'm not privy to that. I have no idea. That might be wrong. I'm not dumb to that. Which is totally funny to say whenever you try to say words that you don't know. Number 3, give examples of how modern societies embedded myths. Myths are instilled early. Schools teach national history as sacred. Ads portray consumerism as a path to fulfillment. Buy this for happiness. Media reinforces gender roles or success myths. Media reinforces gender roles or success myths. This constant reinforcement makes them feel innate, sustaining social order. Boop. Chapter 7, Memory Overload. Farming creates all this extra stuff to track debts, taxes, and harvests, and our brains can't handle it like in small tribes. So bam, writing gets invented around 5,000 years ago in places like Sumeria. At first, it's not for epic poems, it's boring admin records like this guy owes grain. So we're creating writing in this now, and we're using it to keep a record of everything because our brains have so much capacity in them, so they have to start jotting down numbers and figuring out who owes this and who owes that. So it evolves into full scripts, which lets empires run smooth but turns people into bureaucrats. Harari points out how this shifted power to those who could read and write. Ever feel overwhelmed by emails? Same vibe, just ancient version. So yeah, this is when the power starts shifting to the people that can read and write. This is where this is like the birth of politicians, I think, as whenever they started writing. Let's go with the quotes real quick. Notable quotes. Because the Sapiens social order is imagined, humans cannot preserve the critical information for running it simply by making copies of their DNA and passing these on to their progeny. The brain isn't good at storing information. It has limited storage capacity, and it doesn't last forever. So yeah, you also can't... these things that we're writing on is going to surpass... the human brain for decades upon decades, or forever how long, for whenever we find the Dead Sea Scrolls. Key ideas we should talk about. Brain limits. We forget and we die. Writing fixes that for our societies, like I just said a minute ago. From lists to laws, writing started practical, then it got fancy, which saying that it was for the use of, the taxes and how much grain they had and all that stuff, and then it started becoming more complex, like everything else that we've done so far. Trade-off, great for data, but loses the human touch like feelings. I don't know, really. I don't know what that's saying there. Cool examples. First named guy in history, Kushum from the Sumerian Receipt, probably an accountant. This is in the book was talking about, which is really actually a pretty cool story of this. I guess the oldest receipt that they found from the Sumerians, and I have no idea how they read this. It's probably wrong, honestly. They're making shit up when it comes to all of this stuff, I think. But it's signed Kushum, and I don't know if they know what that is, but they think that it's the first, the actual first, thing that wasn't made up by modern man. Because all this stuff that we say, like Neanderthal, like Sapien, they didn't call themselves that. You know what I'm saying? But Kushum, that's the first name. That's the actual name that we know, which is cool. We are into chapters. We read that. Chapter 7. How did write? And I gotta say, this is so much better. I do feel like that. If somebody had a question that they wanted to give me, I feel like I could answer them so much better. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because nobody's really asked me a question. Other than this thing, which after I've read it, I'm kind of getting it back. I feel like maybe the answers are just too, honestly, I haven't answered questions like this since, honestly, before high school. I never truly, I don't know. High school was weird for me. I don't remember. Listen, I went to dumb school as well. I just did packets for the rest of my high school life. So I never really done questions like this. So maybe maybe next week whenever we do it, I kind of make it less complicated. Like, hey, explain it to me like I'm 5. How did writing overcome brain limitations, and what trade-offs did it introduce? Hopefully the rest of you guys are like, hey, you dumbass, the answer. The answer is this. How can you not understand that question? That would ruin my day if everybody else understood and not me. How did writing overcome brain limitations? Because brains didn't last long enough. They only lasted to about 80 years. And what trade-offs did it introduce? Writing stored and transmitted complex data externally, beyond brain's finite capacity and mortality, enabling empires through records like laws and taxes. Trade-offs include compartmentalized thinking, favoring numbers over context, and loss of nuances like emotions, leading to bureaucratic rigidity. Yeah, rigidity. That's what it is. That's a tough word. Yeah, basically what I'm saying, whenever you have, the writing lives on. You can make these laws and you can keep them going for as long as you need them to, whatever, as long as it works for your favor. That's a tough one to think about whenever that's the start of this dystopia, is whenever the people that can read and can write, they write whatever they want. And that's the rules. And then those rules keep going from, the 15-year-old will hear it for the first time, and they, grow up and they're 80 and they're telling their children that this is what the law says. And then they grow up and they tell their children that this is what the law says. And then that's the law, So it works out for the people that write the laws. And this is a part of it. I don't like that. I don't like that stuff. Why were early writing systems administrative rather than creative? They arose from practical needs in growing societies, tracking surpluses, debts, and hierarchies, not artistic expression. Sumerian cuneiform, focused on inventories because brains couldn't handle the data volume for trade and governance. Prioritizing utility over literature. Yeah, I could have. Yeah, they created writing to do a job, and we never. That is going to be really. I actually am excited to, read about whenever they actually start literature and art. Which they've always done art, but not so much literature. In what ways does modern technology, example like AI, continue the evolution of data processing from ancient scripts? In what ways does modern technology continue the evolution of data processing from ancient scripts? I don't know. AI extends writing by processing vast data at scale. Automating bureaucracy like ancient scribes did manually. It handles complexities beyond human brains, but inherits trade-offs like bias in algorithms or devaluing qualitative insights. Echoing scripts shifts to quantitative focus. Listen, I don't know any of what that just said at all. I don't even care. And I don't want to read that question again. Last chapter. This is the last chapter, and we are an hour and 13 minutes in. That's a lot better than this is a lot better pace. I also have the old stuff. As societies grew complex post-agricultural revolution, human brains couldn't store all necessary blah 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 blah. The other way has been a lot easier. It's I'm retaining the information more. I wish I would have known more of this stuff whenever I first started. I could not imagine. I actually think that I am getting better at this. I do feel like from start one to I guess I am gonna have to go over. It will be fun to watch the first episode. I still have not watched one episode, and I will not. I wish that I had somebody that could go over that stuff. I wish there was like an AI thing that would find like some stuff that I said and like post little like shorts, because I would like to start promoting this soon. Maybe somebody out there would like to hear some of this. There's got to be at least like somebody that wants to come and hang out with me, I know I said I honestly feel, to be completely honest, I really feel terrible about what I said with and listen, I'm just being honest when I say this, but I said something about making a bunch of money and doing this, and it's not why I'm here. I'm just going through stuff, with that aspect of life, and nothing that I'll never get out of. It's just grueling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a bad thing to be in. The financial trouble that I'm in, which I'm not in trouble. The financial situations that I'm in are good situations, and I should see it as that. I have 4 healthy children that deserve the world, and I'm working my butt off to give it to them. So that actually saying that out loud, and I said something to that sort today in therapy, but saying that out loud, like I'm working my butt off to give them everything that I can, really hits a lot differently than calling it financial trouble. And hopefully somebody will hear that one day, and I'm more worried about that. I'm more worried about like you guys hearing that rather than me trying to do this for fucking money. Quarter in the swear jar. But I am mad that I said that, and I should not have said that, and because I don't need it. I'm fine. Like, again, like I said, I have to really truly believe that my bills are paid, my children are taken care of, and they're more importantly healthy, along with my wife. Like, everything's good. But I'm a worrier, and I'm a fixer, and I just want, you know, these things, these make believe things. I want the make believe things, and I got to stop that. And sometimes, like, I've always kind of been, I don't know. I don't want to be. I've always kind of been the anti-consumerist, but I like things, and they're fun, and I want stuff, which I don't know. That's not what life's about. Last chapter. I had a good talk with myself today. It's been a blast. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I'm doing this. I don't feel dumb about it. Only whenever I'm in the middle of the week and wondering what I'm going to do. I can't wait to read the next chapters. This book is really good. I highly recommend it. It's a fun theory. It's smart. I think that he's onto something for sure. I think, he hasn't been he's been very in the middle about everything, and there's some things that you listen to, and he's not, for somebody, and from what I've got from the interviews, he is a very politically correct person, and he keeps it very real in this book, and I think that that's good. I think that you should keep an open mind about everything and everybody's opinions, and just learn from it. Just find the beauty in all of it, and that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm trying to do with these books, and I am finding it, and I am having a blast with this. Chapter 8. I'm going to go to this. There is no justice in history. That's I've been saying the titles. I know you guys don't see it pop up. As you can see, I don't want my slides up there anymore. I don't like the way that it looks. I look like I am doing a PowerPoint presentation, and what the hell was I doing that for in the first place? Like, if you guys want the keynotes, let me know. I really have been slacking on putting them on the discussion page. Let's finish chapter 8, and then we can talk about what the future plans are. Because this thing is forever evolving. So, chapter 8, there is no justice in history. He gets real here, saying agriculture locked in inequality from the start. With surpluses, you get hierarchies. Elites hoarding power, peasants slaving away, stuff like slavery, castes, and gender divides aren't natural. They're invented myths that stuck because they helped the top dogs. Women especially got sidelined in some societies after agriculture, stuck with domestic roles while men grabbed control. History isn't some fair progression. It's messy and often unjust, with winners writing the rules. Makes you think about today's inequalities, doesn't it? So, yeah, basically it's saying that the more we got into agriculture, the more we got into the inequalities. Like, it wasn't enough that we wiped out the Neanderthals or the Denisovans, which are the other species that were the other Homo species. Don't do it. Don't say it. I know. Don't do it. I know how you boys are. I'm just kidding. I've heard it all, I guess. I don't know. Stupid. Anyway, so yeah, agriculture started inequality, is what he's trying to say. You know, whenever with surpluses, you get hierarchies. The elites, they're able to write, so they're able to write down the path. They they just start wanting power by the time agriculture starts booming. And it just kind of reminds you of, we went from, that was the summary of the thing. Let's get through this and then we'll talk about that. Core concepts and key ideas we should talk about. Fake ranks. Race mattered here, castes there. All made up for control. Castes, I think they're castes. This is what they're talking about there is in India, where they have like levels of wealth, and you stay in that group of people, and there's different castes that they place on different societies, and it goes from poor to wealthy, and you don't marry out of that class. It's bad luck, or not bad luck, but it's like I can't really. I guess I don't really 100%. Why don't we look here? I'm gonna tell you what castes are because we have the phone right here. Briefly describe castes in India in 2 sentences. Let's see if it does it. India's caste system is a traditional social hierarchy dividing and explain it like a conversation with, let's do this, with an idiot. Can I type it? Idiot. Okay, bro, picture this like I'm talking to my cousin who still thinks the moon is made of cheese. Okay? Yo, India's got this old school club system called castes. Top floor, the Brahmin nerds who pray and read books all day. Second floor, I don't like this. I'm going to go back to this. India's caste system is a traditional social hierarchy dividing societies into 4 main varnas. The Brahmins, which are the priests. The Kshatriyas, which are the warriors. The Vaishyas, which are the merchants. And the Shudras, which are the laborers. With Dalits, formerly untouchables, which were basically, they weren't even in the group. You do not associate those people at all. Historically excluding outside this frame. Though outlawed by the Constitution, it still influences marriages, occupation, and social interactions in many communities. So, like this says, race mattered. Race mattered here and caste there. They're all made up for control. It's the same thing with race. Like we made that shit up. Like we made racism up for whatever reason because we're just terrible people, probably. Biology enables and culture forbids. We can do lots, but society picks winners. I don't really know where they're going with that, honestly. Gender's universal. Post-farming, guys ruled everywhere thanks to plow and power grabs. Women just kind of stayed back and, did the post-gathering thing while the men still did the hunting thing and basically, were in control. Cool examples. Ancient Greece. Guys with guys. Fine. Modern twists vary by culture. Back then, there's a lot of stuff it talks about in the Greece. I wonder if it talks about, maybe this is a better way of saying it. Men advantaged globally. Ancient Greece accepted male homosexuality like Achilles and Patroclus, which I don't know. I guess it talks about those people in ancient texts from Greece having sex with men. I don't remember why that's important in the book. I guess because I'm not interested. Let's see. Let's go into the questions. Why are hierarchies inevitable in large societies, and how do they create injustice? In anonymous groups, hierarchies provide quick judgments for cooperation and order, avoiding chaos. They create injustice by discriminating arbitrarily, privileging elites, while myths justify them as natural, perpetuating exploitation like slavery or caste systems. In anonymous groups, hierarchies provide quick judgments for cooperation and order, avoiding chaos. I kind of know what that's saying, but I really just don't really know how to explain that. I probably will start doing this in more of the conversationalist way of saying it too, because that will help me make my own conversational, because clearly I can't do it. Discuss biology enables and culture forbids, with examples like gender roles or sexuality. This means biology allows a range of behaviors, but culture selects and bans some as unnatural. So it's saying, biology, you can be who you want to be, but when it comes to culture, that's where we've created the prejudice, and we'll be prejudiced for a higher power if need be, and it's happened before. But yeah, biology enables and culture forbids. For gender, biology enables men to nurture or women to lead. For gender, biology enables men to nurture or women to lead, but cultures forbid it via patriarchal norms. So it's basically saying that the culture means that the men have to be in charge, which other than certain small cases, that's usually the case. And I don't really know if is he saying that before that it wasn't like that as well, because I don't know, I'm sure they had their roles as well as I would assume that women had their roles. Oh my God! If you heard that was disgusting. I assume that women have their roles. That had their roles as foragers and hunter gatherers. Like they had their job of, doing whatever women did. I'm not going into that because whatever. Let's see. We discussed that. So, section. This is when it comes to sexuality. Homosexuality is biologically possible, seen in animals, but cultures like Victorian England forbade it, while ancient Greece embraced it because they had their own made-up things about it. Yeah. I agree about homosexuality as seen in animals because my dogs are constantly going at it. And I don't know if they bred the gayness into them when they made golden doodles. I don't know if that just comes with golden doodle territory because those dogs are gay. They are, but they're just doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's they're outside doing. I mean, they can do what they want. I don't really care. Whatever. I don't care what my dogs do. How have agricultural changes influenced gender inequality, and is this truly universal? How have agricultural changes influenced gender inequality and is truly universal? Farming emphasized muscle for plowing and property inheritance, favoring men in warfare and politics. Reinforced by myths. Okay, so it's just saying that the men, because we had the muscle for the plowing and because we had the, we were the ones that probably started the writing. It kind of, that's what went towards the warfare and the politics. And they were reinforced by the myths, like the nations and the lines that are drawn in the sand, basically. And the religions, it's the same thing with that. It's largely universal. It's largely universal post-agriculture, but exceptions like some forager societies suggest it's cultural, not inevitable. Biology doesn't dictate not dominance. Tough. It's tough to read. Yeah, next week it'll be a lot easier. I'll have them. I'd like to have them answered more in a conversation type, like more like I said, if you can have it explained to you. I think that's really kind of how we're going with this. Like, I want this thing to. I want to be able to read this because these books are hard. This is hard. The Bible's hard. Like, these books are going to be hard whenever I start doing this. So whenever I read this stuff and whenever I, it's almost just like it's just in one ear and out the other whenever they say stuff like this. Like, I really did name. It's funny because my wife, she didn't like the name of the book club at first. She didn't like the name of the book club because she says that I'm not dumb, but this reinforces it. And I'm not dumb, but I don't think that I'm dumb, but when you read something like that, yeah, it kind of reinforces how dumb you are because I don't know what it's saying. I guess I should try it one more time. And farming emphasized muscle for plowing and property inheritance, favoring men in warfare and politics, reinforced by myths. I got that part. It's largely universal post-agriculture. No known matriarchy empires. So they're talking about the matriarchal empires. Like, there aren't any other than, like, what, Queen Elizabeth I maybe, and Cleopatra. Like, those are good ones. But exceptions like some forager societies suggest it's cultural, not inevitable. Biology doesn't dictate dominance. I don't know if I feel like that's the same thing with when it comes to men and women. I feel like we've always had the roles, and we still kind of, even just, there's something very primal about the roles of a father and a mother and a husband and a wife. I feel like there are a lot of I am absolutely for feminism, but we got to accept our roles. I got to accept my role as a father, that my daughters are just, they're going to go to their mother for everything, which I hate. Like, I'd wish that they'd come to me for a lot of things, but she's the more nurturing person, just like a mother is. Like, I feel like that's more primal rather than being made up by culture. I feel like it's all over. Are there other countries where men are more of the nurturers? I'd like to know that. Are they more of the matriarchal type? I would not think so. But maybe I'm wrong. That's something to look up. I will look that up. I will do that afterwards. I don't want to keep you guys here. When I say keep you guys here, as in nobody. We are in the void. Next week, the unification of humankind. That's what we're doing next week. I don't know what that means yet. I guess I should read it and it'll tell me. That's chapter 9 through 11. If anybody's, later in the future, if people are watching this, 9 and 11 is what we're going to start with. The content finishes the agricultural revolution and begins the unification of cultures through money, empires, and religion. The scent of money to imperial visions. Discussion themes, the role of shared systems like money and religion in uniting humanity. Compared to Genesis, Tower of Babel, and monotheism? Monotheism? Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be cool. Compared to Genesis, Tower of Babel, I will do that. Why this chunk? Bridges 2 parts, focusing on systems that unify, offering rich philosophical parallels to Genesis. Cool. Well, that's that, fellas. And ladies. I like doing these lives. I hate the I hate the way that it gets recorded. I don't know if I want to just start recording these and just sticking them on YouTube. I'm not gonna stick them on the Facebook page. I'm hoping that maybe we can, maybe I can get, maybe I should. No, I don't even. I don't want to. I'm not into promoting this yet. Not just yet, but one day I'll start trying to figure out how to get this out to more people, because I do want people to listen. That's at least that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really. One of the biggest goals is having people kind of, come on here and chat with me. Like, I'm a very communal person. Like, I want to be a part of a community. I understand the want to be part of a tribe. I get that. I'm constantly like that. So yeah. Well, we're finished. I'm gonna go read the book. I am still working on the New Testament, and then I would like to have something else for a personal read. My therapist recommended a book about. I keep forgetting the word neuroticism. That's what it is. So I'm gonna check that book out. That might be my personal reading. We won't do that in the book club. After this, which we've done 2, so now we have 4 more of this, and then we'll get into Exodus and finish that up and do that, and then get into something that's like Exodus, and have some fun. I'm having a blast. This has been great. Peace, guys. Take care. Prayers to the UPS plane, man. That sucks. I really that bummed me out, which of course it did. It bummed everybody out. But gosh, how close to home was that? I feel just terrible for all those people by the industrial plants. I feel terrible for everybody involved, the people on the plane. Good grief, I can't imagine. I don't know. Maybe there's. I don't know. I just try to sit here and think about what you can do to help. Think about them. Pray for them, if that's what you do. And I'm stalling. Bye, everybody.